Hello, and welcome to KPFA's debate series for the 2021 Local Board Delegate Elections, where we will hear from various listener candidates. I am Sherry Smith. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Berkeley, Albany, and Emeryville, a neutral third party for this debate, and I'm the moderator for this program. The topics to be discussed cover key topics facing KPFA and the Pacifica Foundation as a whole, and questions submitted directly by KPFA members. Please note that all viewpoints presented are those of the participants and do not reflect the position of the Pacifica Foundation or KPFA. The program starts with opening statements, followed by a debate covering topics selected from a predefined topic list and ending with questions from listener members. The order of candidates and topics has been selected by using a random sequence generator from random.org. This hour, we are joined by Leslie Howard, Don Macleay, and Richard Stone. All right, before starting the debate, each candidate has 1 minute to make an opening statement. Candidates will hear a bell when their time is up. And now for the candidates' opening statements. Leslie Howard, you have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I'm Leslie Howard, and I am running to be on the KPFA board. I kind of got into this serendipitously. I was one of those people that just listened to the radio and love it and didn't know there was like things you had to do. And then I kept getting all these mailers about people wanting that the board needed listener board members. And I thought, well, let me get more involved. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but here I am. What I usually do in my life is I calm people's nervous systems, which I could use a little bit right now because I'm really nervous. But I teach yoga for a living, and but I'm also very active politically. I've done a lot of fundraising in a couple of different ways. I lived in the Central Valley for many years and did some work there, and was the president of the Dem Club there. Since being in the back in the Bay Area, I have worked with an organization called Flip the Vote. Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Don Macleay, you have 1 minute.
Thanks. So it's Don Macleay. I'm an Oakland resident. I'm very much a member of the progressive community around town, but I'm not a radio person per se, not a media person. I was asked by other members of the board to run for office because they wanted that perspective. They wanted somebody who was kind of hands-on and making things work. I'm a technician in my day life, and I've been a teacher. I've been very involved with things that have to do with young people. I really like the KPFA idea, and I really admire a lot of what has been done, considering how long it's existed and the tools and people they've got together. I definitely am an advocate of doing a better job and bringing more young people into the process. So that's why I'm here, and I'm running for re-election on the station board. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Richard Stone, you have 1 minute. And you'll need to unmute yourself.
That would help, yeah. Okay. Yeah. First, thanks to staff for moderating everything today. Really, do appreciate it. I worked on election committee before, and I like Don. I'm also a member of the progressive community, though in San Francisco. Proud member of the of the Green Party, which that and also in being a labor activist eventually led me down the road to to work with KPFA. First just simply by going to meetings, and then I was eventually asked to be on the community advisory board, and I did serve a 3-year stint on that, and that's sort of interacting with the LSB is probably the most important thing for me to say, considering the fact that that in part is what led me to the decision, aside from being asked from from other members as well. So that is why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Now we're going to move on to the debate. The debate format consists of assigning one topic to one candidate as determined by the initial random sequence and allowing that candidate 2 minutes to develop their answer. All other candidates following the order defined by the initial random sequence get 30 seconds each to comment or to ask a follow-up question. This structure iterates through all the candidates until all have had the opportunity to address a topic in depth. Leslie, the first topic is to you. It has been challenging to maintain accurate membership lists of both listeners and staff members at all stations. What is your understanding of this problem, and how do you propose to resolve it? You have 2 minutes.
Okay, my understanding is that that is not done by the local stations, that's something that Pacifica is in charge of. That's what I think I know, but it doesn't seem like it should be such a difficult problem. I would say that somehow we don't have the technological know-how, and that it would be pretty easy to get in the Bay Area to get someone to help us to do that. I'm not really sure why it's been a challenge in the past, because I can't say I know a lot about what's happened in the past, but that's my answer.
Okay. Thank you. Don, you have 30 seconds. And you need to
I'm very much with Leslie in this. I'm kind of surprised that it's something they don't do well. Sitting on the local station board, I would have loved to have had that as a discussion. And frankly, those kinds of practical things have not been coming up as often as they should. Yeah, in the Bay Area, we have the skills, and also any organization, keeping a list of your members is kind of basic. This organization has been around for a long time. I've been a member for 30 years. They keep losing my slot.
You got it. Thank you very much. Richard, you have 30 seconds to unmute yourself. Well,
I'm sorry. I do have a. Thanks, Frank. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, like I said, I was a member of the Community Advisory Board, and I do have past experience in actually in the formation of this, said membership list by doing, online, surveys and creating what was known as community need assessment reports. So yes, I think that this, probably is something that could be, done better. One time we actually had a. Oh, sorry. Okay.
did that include his unmuting time? James, yes, indeed.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Richard. We move on to the next topic. Don, this is your topic. What is your vision for the future of KPFA and Pacifica as a whole? What types of changes do you see as necessary for KPFA and Pacifica in the near future? You have 2 minutes.
I think I lucked out in topics there. I really would like to see Pacifica Network be the top of the line for news for the progressive community. I think we have the resources to do it. I don't feel that we're producing it well enough now, but I don't think we're very far away either. I would envision a day when something happens. I live in Oakland, the developers run roughshod over the place. When they're not doing it, the privatizers of the schools are often about things. nationally. We don't ever seem to be out of a war. We're not doing anything about global warming, and the list goes on. You know, every time you turn around, a police officer holds down a young black man and shoots him. And I feel that the community needs good quality reporting. At the moment reporting, but also that kind of intelligent, after the fact, analytical reporting. I feel that we do it, but we do it too personality based, too based on the shows. And I think if we were more cooperative in our approach and more system-wide in our approach, I think we would produce a better news product. So my image of KPFA Pacifica in the future is a lot of things. We have a lot of different types of shows. We should have a lot of different types of shows, but I really want us to have the reputation of being top of the class for good local and national news.
Thank you very much. Let's see. I think the next commenter here is, with people dropping out, my script is
What about 30 seconds to reply?
some holes in, yes. And it's Rich who gets the next, I think, reply. Rich, let's just have you reply.
Yes. Like I said, as a member of Community Advisory Board, I actually got to participate in, with the LSB, during a town hall by facilitating a workshop. This one, the Julian Assange, awareness group, where we actually formulated, a proposition that was passed by Pacifica and by the San Francisco Labor Council. So, and of course, I would like to see more visionary programs, for anti-war vets, LGBTQ rights as well.
Okay.
And other underrepresented minority groups. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Leslie, you have 30
Before you
seconds.
start the clock, Franklin, sure, can you repeat the question again, just so I'm totally clear?
Yes.
Franklin's finger is getting itchy.
Yes. Was it the one on the most serious problem needing the most immediate attention? No. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Oh, you'd like that one.
well, no. I that's why I was asking you to repeat it, because there's some overlap in the question, so I want to make sure I answer the right
I
question.
believe it was question number 7 off the list.
Okay. My problem is my questions are not numbered.
The vision for the future, the vision for the future.
For the future. Yes. Give us a vision for the future.
Okay. All right, Franklin, hit it. My vision for the future, I think I totally agree with Don. But I think before that, we have to make sure that the station is on sound financial footing. So that, I think, is probably the vision. And one of the things that got me involved is it just seemed like KPFA was always on the edge of things. And I thought, what is wrong? What can I help? What can I do? So I think I agree with what he said, and we need to bring more money in.
Timely and everything. Yeah. I think I'm back on track here. We'll move on to the final topic. Richard, this is your topic. What areas of Pacifica's national policy do you think are most in need of development? And what do you believe would be the appropriate respective roles of the local station board and its appointees to the Pacifica National Board to work with the executive director towards defining and implementing such policies? You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Like I said, I'll open up once again by saying that that when I worked on the Community Advisory Board, I realized that even though we had a pretty good simpatico at the time with the locals, with the local station board, that with station management that they didn't really want to meet with the community advisory board at a certain point, which actually you opened up my eyes to the fact that and also with the with the addition of the with the new day with election, I realized that that we need to actually maintain what one would call it a decentralized role instead of a top-down management type of governance structure. So I do believe that that in maintaining a good your relationship with the Pacifica National Board, that we need to keep our current governance structure, as opposed to which is more decentralized, because it allows all the stations to actually have representatives in each particular station to actually to actually be represented on the national board. From my understanding, it was the New Day election that would have cut down the number of representatives where that wouldn't have been allowed to occur. So I think that in terms of the structural element, I believe that that the structure that we have, as flaws it may have, I think that we need to maintain that decentralized form of structure. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Leslie, you have 30 seconds.
My understanding is right now the Pacifica governance overrides KPFA's voice, and if there was a more equitable allotment of seats on the board for listenership, that to me sounds more democratic. So that's my understanding, but again, I'm kind of a newbie here, and I'm on a huge learning curve, and I'm trying to take it all in. I'm done.
Thank you. Don, you have 30 seconds.
Hi. I know that we look at it maybe, is it top down? Is it democratic? Is it decentralized? Being on the board and getting snippets of reports leaves one less informed than you might think. And I get the feeling that the discussion that really needs to be held is, what do we do centrally and how? What are the services that should belong to the middle and what should belong to the local stations? And I don't think that's well thought out right now.
Thank you, Don. We'll now select questions from the list that was submitted by listener members, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. We'll take as many questions as time allows. The first question is, do you have any ideas on how Pacifica can generate new listeners and market to younger audiences? Leslie, you have 1 minute.
That is one of the things I would really like to focus on if elected, is to bring younger people in, and what you have to do is go where younger people are, which is unfortunately social media. And I totally, I know that there's a lot of problems with social media. Just see the social dilemma if you're questioning that, but that's where they are. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, and I would love to see us producing small, fast moving things that can pull people in to the programming. And I think we need some representation in programming for the 30 and under. And I think community outreach is how we find out what is it that young people are concerned about and how can we address that.
Thank you, Leslie. Don, you have 1 minute.
Follow where Leslie was. I have two of those young people who don't listen to the radio station, live in this house. They listen to podcasts. And we are well placed to produce podcasts. We are well placed to be involved in social media. And I think that what we have to say, our progressive voices are well received among young people. But we're not going to reach out to young people unless we have young people behind the mic, unless we have young people thinking about how those shows, they should be doing the productions. We need to bring people in, not to come and help us do what we already do, but to help decide what it is we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and not just represent, but go one step further and start to take ownership of this project. And that is how I think we'll reach some kind of renewal and produce things that young people are actually interested in.
Thank you, Don. Richard, you have 1 minute.
Yeah, I would like to start by saying that I also have a young son, but he was who's not only avid KPFA listener, but actually was an apprentice on the 6 o'clock evening news with with Mark Miracle. It was about a 6-month stint, and he's a digital media manager, so he's not really doing anything else with them at the present. But yes. That and coupled with go back to the community advisory board, seeing some of the younger members that were actually member of the board. One in particular who wanted to work with Steve Zeltzer and actually creating more of a at the time, which is like 2016, 2017, a digital media, more of a digital media platform was actually something that unfortunately didn't come to fruition, but at least it gave me a sense of hope that I know that that something like that is something within reach. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. The second question is, what do you know about the financial problems at KPFA and Pacifica as a whole? What do you propose to solve these problems? You have 1 minute. Leslie.
Okay, sorry, I thought we were
Leslie.
changing first. Okay. Well, my understanding is that things are dire. My understanding is that KPFA is carrying its own weight financially, but because we're under the Pacifica umbrella, that some of the money we bring in goes to some of the stations that aren't pulling their weight. So I think one of the things that needs to be addressed is that we have to help the other stations figure out how they can be self-sustaining. And then, of course, fundraising. Like lots of different ideas for fundraising. The current model, it works. I think everybody's sick of it, but it tends to do pretty well to beg on on the radio. But I think there's more we could do. I think we could expand authors coming in. I think we could sponsor events like intergenerational events. I think would be great to bring listeners in. Okay, ding, sorry.
You are so conscientious, and I thank you for that. All right, the third question is, how can you work together for the benefit of your station?
Hold on, Sherry. Let's let Don and Rich answer that one as well.
Sorry?
Let's let Don and Rich answer that question as well about the finances.
Oh, sorry. Yes, indeed. Don and Rich. First, Don. This was the financial question.
Yeah, like I've said before, I'm on the board, and we do not get the reporting that we really need. I've heard the vision of things that Leslie was describing, where KPFA pulls its weight and everybody else is a leech, and that mostly comes from a faction. And that faction's fighting, we're sort of like that couple on the block that fight so much that everybody knows it because they can hear it. And I think that in and of itself is holding us back from making a good discussion of where the finances are and what they should be. And it's very linked to what should be central services. I do not want a top-down approach, but I do want a cooperative approach. If KPFA is able to produce a better website, well, then why aren't we producing better websites for the 4 other stations?
Thank you, Don. Rich?
Yeah, to reflect first on what Don said. Yeah, there has to be cooperation within within the governing bodies, the LSB and the CAB. But Also, one of the reasons why I got interested in KPFA and the CAB was because of the lack of Corporation for Public Broadcasting money. That in itself, I believe that if we ever resolve that problem, we would have shorter fund drives, and as a result of that, we wouldn't have that donor fatigue that seems to persist, particularly in the longer fund drives. I have seen a couple of fund drive that were short enough that we're barely able to squeak by, but still I believe that that would go a long way if we were able to resolve the issue of being able to get our auditing procedures done properly enough in order to get money for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Thanks.
Thank you, Rich. You've all had a preview of the third question, which is, how can you work together for the benefit of your station? You have a minute, and Leslie, will start you again.
Why do I always have to go first?
What my script says.
Okay. You're just following your script. Okay. Well, again, as I came into the situation, I had no idea that there was an internal struggle going on. My entire life has been built on, can't we just all get along? And I know that's an oversimplification, but I have studied nonviolent communication. I think that we all really, really, really want KPFA to survive and Pacifica to survive. So that has got to be the starting point from where we all agree on. And yes, we don't agree on how to get there, but I think there has to be some crossover. I think maybe bringing a mediator in might not be a bad idea so that the factions can come together. I know there's things we agree about. And it just seems like, let's not let the whole ship go down because we're fighting if the sails should be up or down. I think we all really love this station and want to see it survive. And that's it.
Thank you, Leslie. Don, you have a minute.
So I seem to always go second. I agree that we should all get along. And I think that the best way to do that is to work on resolving our issues together as groups. I think that we spend too much time with this horrendous bickering and accusations that run back and forth. And I'll repeat, sitting on the board, I don't get much in the way of reports. I get a lot in the way of editorials. And I would like to sit down and work as a board member with other people. I'd like to work with Leslie. I'd like to work with Rich. I know that you two have different points of view, and those different points of view are what are going to help us think it through. And that type of respectful, collaborative work on our main issues, I think will bring us into a new practice. I think factionalism is a practice. And not being factionalist, cooperation is also a practice.
Thank you very much. I have been told that we can go on with another question. We have time from this.
Rich still has to answer that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did that to you again, Rich. My apologies. Go ahead, please.
No problem. Okay, well, garnering from my experience with the Green Party and working with some of the more, apparently more progressive, members of the Democratic, Party, I also come to learn that once I started working with KPFA, the same, a similar type of factionalism, does exist on the on the local station board, both by attending the meetings just as a as a general member, and like I said, working on the community advisory board during town hall meetings, and just seeing people just get caught up in the minutia of of certain issues is something that we need to break through in order to get more stuff done at the meetings. So yes, I would like to see that.
Thank you, Rich. We can go to another question from the listeners, and that is this. What does listener democracy mean to you? Do you feel listener democracy is happening at KPFA and Pacifica? How can the listener democracy be improved? And again, Leslie, you get the honors to go first.
Hey, okay. What I've learned is that we do not have listener democracy at Pacifica. Listener democracy means that the listeners would directly elect the national board directors. Instead, the current system, local station boards elect the national directors. So I think what listener democracy would mean is that, again, proportional votes. So for example, KPFA has more members, they would then have more votes to elect the directors. And that right now, that is not how it works. I hope I have that right. But I think it's not a bad idea to go to members direct voting. It's, you know, it's a little bit like representational. It's like our representatives in our government now, you know, it doesn't work. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Leslie. Don, you have a minute.
We're not the only progressive organization in our country that has this type of factionalism going on inside it, or this type of argument over what is and isn't democratic. Democratic means a lot of things. The structure that the KPFA board has, where it is electing a couple of people to the national board, is kind of a confederate structure. It's not the only one in the country. And I don't really feel that that structure is the problem as much as the lack of commitment to democracy. At the risk of sounding a little Canadian, part of democracy is that commitment that all the other people who don't agree with you are represented, heard fairly, treated with respect, and that things get looked at and studied and decided. And that is not what I've been seeing, I gotta say.
Thank you, Don. Rich, you have a minute.
Yes, once again to reflect on my community advisory board experience in working, at in town hall meetings. I would say that yes, during those at the community forums that the LSB themselves, that the community advisory board itself put on, you would actually see the semblance or the hope of the representation. I mean, or the listener democracy that that you have during the breakout sessions. But to take those results, forms of the community need assessment report that's made that and which is presented to the LSB, to actually see that carried forward is something that that unfortunately I didn't really see much on the board. And I know there are other aspects of the direct community involvement that the LSB does with directly with the public, but this is something that I didn't unfortunately see carry over in terms of the work that we did to try to make the listeners' voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. It's my understanding that we have time for another question that had been submitted by the listeners, and that question is this: what would you do to shorten the fund drives and make existing fund drives more interesting? And you get 3 seconds, Leslie, to come up with your 1 minute response.
Oh my God. Let's see. Well, I think, okay. We need to increase membership. If we have more members giving more money, then we won't have to ask for so much money from a smaller group of people. As I said earlier, I think it's really important to have a bigger social media presence. I think that we could hire somebody maybe who is like a social media expert that, so we're not asking on the radio all the time, that we can ask through other outlets. I think there's other ways, and I honestly don't know exactly what KPFA or Pacifica is doing now around this stuff, but you know, like, how do we get people to remember us in their will? How do we get again intergenerational support? Like, my impression is that the KPFA listeners are a little older, and how do we bring their kids in and their grandkids in so that we have more opportunities of resource.
Thank you, Leslie. Don, you have a minute.
I seem to be stuck in silver here. I think the first thing that would cause someone to support the station in any way, volunteering their time, giving us money, doing whatever, is that impression, that the belief that we are doing a good job, a job that they believe in, a job that they don't want to see stop. And I think that we have programs and whatnot that could be doing that. And I really wish that our fundraising was not just talking to the people who are already on the air, but talking to the people who are not listening to us on the air, and getting those people from the programs out into the community, each and every one of them, to have more contact. I could imagine us doing something creative. KMUD does a picnic. We could do a KPFA festival and have quite a fun time of it. We certainly don't want to have just my kid learning how to do a Dennis Bernstein imitation, which is, I think, what we have now.
Thank you, Don. Rich, you have your minute.
Yes, like I previously said, I'll just briefly say that that if you have more Corporation for Public Broadcasting money, you wouldn't have the need for this. But in terms of and making it more entertaining, Don slightly stole my thunder. What I specifically was going to say, in order to make it fun, is to actually have music, have like music or poetry, related venues that whether they happen during the fund drive or not, to take place, to reach out to younger audiences, and that would actually be a good way to do both that and to raise more money, so you don't have these longer fund drives, and which result in, like I said, the donor fatigue that is a constant in all the fund drives. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich, and thank you all very much. That does it for our debate questions. Each candidate now has a minute of closing to convince your voters. Leslie.
Well, I want to say I felt a disadvantage of going first, because when I heard these fine gentlemen speaking, I'm like, oh, yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, I think, okay, so I honestly, I've looked at all the candidates, and there's so many amazing, well-qualified people. Why should you vote for me? Well, I'm in a group called the KPFA Protectors. I'm running on a slate because the understanding from what I can glean is their priorities are outreach and membership drives, protecting KPFA's resources, their building, really protecting KPFA programming, and improving diversity, bringing in more diverse programs, programs for younger people, increasing training opportunities, which is another thing I think could really help. Is we really need to show up in high schools and college campuses and talk to people. House parties, that's another thing. I know COVID's an issue, but I know it'll be over sometime, and people, person to person, is the way to go.
Thank you. Don, this is your closing statement for a minute.
Now, why did I guess I was going to go second? I'd like people to vote for me and put me back on the board. I've only been on the board for a short while because I was second runner-up and got put in when somebody else decided to run for council in Richmond. I think of the board job as a job that I do and will continue to try to do professionally. I want to work with the people from the various groups, and I want to see these ideas and concerns and whatnot discussed professionally. I really want to see a lot better reporting, and I'm willing to work to get it. When we talk about the finances and the membership, stuff like that, I want to see reporting that goes back a few years. I want to see it compared to other radio stations. I want us to do intelligent decision making, and that's the board's job. The board is the oversight function we have, and I want to exercise that oversight responsibly.
Thank you, Don. Rich, you have the final minute here for closing statement.
Yeah, I would really hope that I would be able to garner your vote. I, like Don, am running on the rescue Pacifica slate, but more importantly, because I have had previous work experience, working on the community advisory board, I think I have been able to garner not only a little bit of insight on how to reach out to people, specifically on the outside. I have actually done like Leslie was saying, I have done outreach. I did a lot of outreach. I did a lot of tabling and flyering with a lot of listener members, and I think that I would like to take the experience that I've had in working in the community with the Green Party, the Labor Council, the Community Advisory Board, and hope to be a member of the LSB, and hopefully you can have your vote.
Thank you, Rich. And thank you all for listening to KPFA's debate series for the 2021 Local Board Delegate Election. My name is Sherry Smith, the moderator for this program, and we were joined by Leslie Howard, Don Macleay, and Richard Stone. Visit elections.pacifica.org for all questions and to file a ballot request form. Make sure you cast your ballot before 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 8:59 p.m. here on the West Coast, October the 15th, 2021, a couple of months from now.